Hey everyone, welcome to a pickup video. I would love to do the full thing like this for the ambiance with the tree, but I have found out if I hold anything in front of the camera, you cannot see it, so I'm gonna have to turn a light on. But thought I'd show you what our tree looks like. Ignore the mess over there. That's the wrapping. That's the wrapping station. Alrighty. Well, like most people, been a bit busy with work, especially as the holidays come around. Haven't had many videos go up. One problem with that is the Elgato is not recording things. I recently got a game in, thought it was a lot of fun, wanted to record it, played through one character storyline, went to export the video to find that it only recorded the first 4 minutes. I tried to record the intro, it recorded the first 3 minutes. It's a 10-minute long video, but it's just blank after those few minutes. I'm not sure how to fix that. It's happening more and more. I know it has a problem. It has problems when switching signals, which happens especially in 32-bit games where the menu might be a different resolution from the intro and from the game itself. But yeah, I was able to cobble together about 4.5 minutes, so I'll put that up later, but that pickup will be for the next video. That's just been really frustrating. You know, I've recorded 20, 30 minutes of something, thought I might put it up in a few chunks, and I got 1.5 minutes. It plays on here just fine, so there's no way for me to tell it's not working until I stop recording and find that it just hasn't. People say you can roll back to previous software versions, so I'll try to do that. Other than that, I have quite a few more interactive entertainments I'm going to put up. I've wanted to do some video responses, but just haven't had the time. But I'll still try to do those. I wanted to do those with gameplay in the background, but with the Elgato problem, that's kind of come up dry. But first up, I'll show the only book purchase. This is the 21st J.L. Myers Memorial Lecture, Greeks in Greece and Mesopotamian and Persian Perspectives. Haven't read this yet. It's a collection of papers about what... kind of what it says. What those living in the old Middle East empires thought of the Greeks when they came with Alexander. You get stuff like the worldview, interesting tidbits, how they view the world in terms of cartography. If you've seen old maps, there's an interesting one you can find where England is actually to the east, I think, because whoever made the map, their country of origin was viewed as the north. So that's how this is, how they viewed their forms of government, their like marriage practices, things like that. Adds a lot of great context to books like Arrian's Anabasis, that's Xenophon's. I'm thinking of Arrian's, I think it's Anabasis of Alexander. There's a landmark version I read. And, Michael Wood's Alexander the Great and all the other books about Alexander and his conquests. I did pick up an album. I don't have it here, but I got the Twin Peaks soundtrack on vinyl. That sold out on Amazon, so I had to go to a third-party seller who charged Amazon's price, so that worked out well. It's very short, though, but fortunately you get all the best tracks. I'm not a huge fan of, like, 3/4 of Series 2. I know it's divisive, and some people are into it. I cannot stand it. The music was still pretty decent. I really prefer the music from Season 1, and there's about, I think, 8 to 12 tracks, so you get the greatest hits. I have the CDs too, but I like the crackle of vinyl. A number of these were from the same few people. I guess I'll get the miscellaneous ones out of the way first. First up this is Catherine, but it's the variant. Now, you'll see from the spine here how it's just her eye. That's what this cover is. It's just this image, but not cropped. Atlas made some kind of family-friendly versions to send to outlets like Walmart. And this is the Xbox 360 cover, but just zoomed up to this one angle. If you've seen the PlayStation 3 cover, it shows her chest. Well, the family-friendly one is just zoomed up on like the neck and face area. I had the original PS3 release, and I became aware of these variants, and I thought it'd be neat to check them out. And this guy had this on Amazon for about $18. And I got it also because he had the soundtrack included, which I didn't get with mine. So I thought this was a pretty good buy. Nice to have the variants aren't. You can still find them, but they're not nearly as common as the regular releases. I picked up 2 import Famicom games for when I pick up a Retro Freak next year. These both recently had fan translations, so I decided to grab them. I actually wrote the title of this down, but I forgot it in the other room. But it is an RPG, kind of a standard top-down. You can see that. That's a forest view. You go into villages with a top-down perspective. Talk and combat in first person. Really wish I would have brought that slip of paper now. This came out in 1990, actually. It's a little dirty on the box, but I learned that with, Battle Zen Kui. I think for the Super Famicom, it's got a white box. I picked up 3 versions of that from different sellers, and none of them have pristine white boxes. The best version still has some scuffs on it. And that one and this one were cheap, so I really didn't mind that they were a little scuffed because they came complete. This is called Last Armageddon. This is also came out in 1990. This has kind of the first-person dungeon perspective here, and it's top-down but a zoomed-out view when traveling the world, kind of like Ultima 3 for the NES. I thought these would be pretty neat to try out, and very affordable, and I'm a sucker for fan translations. This is a cobbled-together copy of Zelda Oracle of the Ages. A guy on a forum was selling a bunch of manuals and boxes. So I picked the box up. He had several Zelda boxes, but this was the last one he had. I got some manuals for the 32X, the Genesis arcade stick, things like that. And there are some bins in it, but I put it between books to flatten it out. So then I went online, and I found someone selling the cart with the manual really cheap. I'm not sure if you can see, but there's some bins down the center here. It's hard to with the glare. They got the lamp right behind me. And they had the manual and the game for less than $15, I think. And I already had a cardboard insert. There's a seller on YouTube called, I think it's Keep a Minty, that sells the replacement inserts. So aside from like the Nintendo maybe Power subscription pamphlet or the safety pamphlet that is complete. Sorry for the glares. Let me see if I can move that a bit. Ran across a seller on a forum, and he had a bunch of games for sale. Older systems I don't collect for, I'm not really interested in, but so I kept looking at the thread off and on to see if he added something new. And I would normally lose interest and not finish it, but one day I went ahead and went through everything he listed, and he had hundreds and hundreds of items. He had some PlayStation 2 games, so I decided to grab some. I'm really filling out the PlayStation 2 collection kind of inadvertently, just running across things that I've been wanting. And I'm not sure why, but maybe the PS2 just never increased in price because a lot of these are really cheap. The most expensive was this one for about $22. That is Kingsfield, the Ancient City. All these are complete, and what I like about these is they are in great shape. I'm finding for a lot of PlayStation 2 games, especially at the bottom, the art insert comes out from behind the plastic and the colors rub off. I have quite a few PlayStation 3 games with the art inserts that are bigger than the plastic, so there's no way for them not to stick out. This was, I think, $12. Clock Tower 3. Again, in great shape. And for $5, I've read about this game for years, and I just never really ran across it. Sub Rebellion from Irem. You might know them from the R-Type series. It's underwater sub shooter. This is the only one the guy commented on. He said, "Oh, I really like Sub Rebellion." So his seal of approval. And after I got these in and I found how good of a shape they were, he said, I have tons of other ones I haven't listed. Let me know if you find any more or you want any more. Well, these two are some of the first PlayStation 2 role-playing games. And as a result, when you find them, they're always beat up. And it's Eternal Ring and Evergrace. And I believe it's Evergrace has a really, really good soundtrack. H-Tech released both of these. They were a strange publisher back then. They also released, I want to say, Mark of the Wolves for the Dreamcast. These are both, From Software titles. H-Tech would release things like this, kind of off-brand titles. A lot of times it would actually dip in price really fast, so they kind of came known as like D3, where they put out some good stuff, but for the most part you had to be careful because you might get some duds. And I know at the time people weren't really impressed with these, but I never got to try them at release. And I've been listening to the soundtrack for at least Evergrace for a while now, so These were, I want to say $4 each because I think it was 10 shipped. And to have them in great shape, no scuffs, no faded manuals or art inserts, I am A-okay with that. Good friend of mine, I've talked about him several times. I kind of had a master list of things he was selling I was interested in, and I've been chipping away at that. I showed some last video. Well, this time, picked up a few more from him. Let's see. Over here. So I picked up Castlevania Circle of the Moon for the Game Boy Advance. He said this was his favorite, and I recently I completed Symphony of the Night for the Xbox 360. Really enjoying it. I was talking with him about it because I had picked up other Castlevania games from him. And he said, those are good, but my favorite is Circle of the Moon, and I think that's closest to Symphony of the Night, so if you like it, you should enjoy it. So I was like, give it to me. What you'll see, you might not be able to see here, but the extra reflection, if you can tell, Keep 'em Minty and Retro Protection on eBay sell DVD plastic bags. Well, I found that they actually fit, or at least Retro Protections fits Game Boy games. You'll see, if you don't see there's a line here, that's because the bag comes up to about here, and you can fold it, seal it, and then I put them in this. I think I've pegged my problem for my cardboard being damaged down to silverfish, which also come about because of humidity, so I'm sure the humidity is not helping, but I'm working on that. We've got better insulation and better windows back there now, but the silverfish are something I can't seem to get rid of. I put out poison for them, but I think that's what's eating my cardboard. So I'm basically encasing everything in plastic bags, and if I can find plastic protectors, I'm putting them in that. Even DVDs, for the PlayStation 2 games, I'm putting those because I don't want them getting in and eating the inserts or manual. I actually found one of my TurboGrafx 16 games, whatever it is, I'm pretty sure it's Silverfish, got into some jewel cases have little slits at the top and bottom where it's not covered in plastic. I don't know why, but here's one. You'll see right here. This is a gap in the plastic, and it got in there and ate about half of the back of a manual. So I'm doing what I can to protect them, move stuff around, of course. So that's why you'll see everything in plastic bags. And if you're interested, definitely go to Retro Protection's website or eBay store, get the DVD bag, and they fit great for Game Boy Advance. Got a copy of Strider 2 off of them. This is one of the early printings where they swapped discs on accident with the original Strider. And I picked up Double Impact, which is the original Street Fighter 3 New Generation and Second Impact. I had no idea this had gone up in price so much. I think he wanted $30 for this, which is a good price, but this used to go really cheap way back because no one wanted it. I used to see it for $8 or $9 because everyone wanted Third Strike, which I have for the 360 and PS3, which are great conversions. So I've never really bothered with the Dreamcast one, although I'm sure I will one day. So when I saw that he was asking, I think about $40 for it, I had to look it up, and it goes for a good bit more. I guess Dreamcast collecting is coming in now. And I wanted to show you some really nice long boxes here, but they got sent to another town. Unfortunately, this keeps happening. But I'll say it's for the holidays and things are busy, but this happens every month. It goes to a town like 30 miles away, and then the post office realizes it and reroutes it. I mean, I'm complaining about that, but in general, the post office is spot on like 99% of the time. And I order a lot of stuff, and a lot of people order stuff through me. They use my PayPal and they use my PO box, and it comes in great. So I'm gonna stop bitching about the post office. I saw them today dropping off the last of my Christmas packages. Hey, Doom Waves, and they look like they were frazzled. But I picked up 2 MVS carts off of him. The first was for a cool $18, Samurai Showdown. This is the first game I remember that was distinctly SNK. I saw it at an arcade, and before I would see SNK games and Neo Geo games, and I was just it'd be in the multi-cabs, mainly World Heroes and what's the monster one? I can't believe I'm forgetting. The Monster Brawler. And they would have like a maybe Bust a Move or something else in it, and I never put it together that was SNK Neo Geo. I just kind of saw the name on the cab, and as a kid I didn't really care that much. I just thought, oh, those are the red and white ones, I want to go play a fighting game. I didn't even call them fighting games back then. That wasn't really that genre didn't exist to me. It was just the two guys beat each other up. Well, Samurai Showdown was the first where I saw it, and I was kind of like, wow, because everything to me was Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. But when I saw Samurai Showdown, I love. It's one of the few games where I actually really like the backgrounds, and I really like the first one's backgrounds. They all have great ones, but the first really stand out. I've been wanting to grab it for a while, and one thing I just never got around to it because I bought part 2 for the MVS, and I played the heck out of that, and I have the other ones for Saturn and Neo Geo CD. But for $18, I said, throw it in there, buddy. And I got a great shock box coming, but not here, not yet. And this is Art of Fighting 3. He cut me a deal on this because I looked it up, and it says SNKG on the case here, and apparently that was for rental copies, which does not bother me at all. I think that's actually kind of neat. And he said, okay, well, since it's not like a full-on, I'll go ahead and cut you a deal. And that worked out very well. He also gave me a freebie. It's Samurai Showdown for the Game Gear. When I sent him a message saying, hey, thanks for that, he said, well, no problem. Now you can feel the crushing disappointment I felt when I loaded up in the back seat of my car years back. So I think I'm just going to keep that one sealed. I actually, my Game Gear's broke. The caps, I guess, busted in it. I tried to play it earlier this year, and it didn't work. There is a Game Gear attachment for Retro Freak, so whenever that International Edition one comes out with the NES adapter, I'm going to get it. Hopefully it'll work. It should be updated to the latest firmware, and I'm going to get the Game Gear attachment because I bought a few with the intention of playing them, but I had to return it. Let's see. And lastly, now, so I get weak sometimes when it comes to 3DO and Jaguar. I saw a 3DO game. I picked it up. Seller left me feedback. Then he never sent it. So I looked at their feedback, and suddenly they have an entire page of people complaining that they never sent them their games. They're still around. They still sell hundreds of items. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know. Maybe they have a storefront and they don't check their stock. But I got my refund through PayPal. I mean, it's weird to leave me feedback and then not send anything. So I had some money sitting there, and I noticed a seller in Japan had a bunch of sealed 3DO imports. So I picked up a few, and these were surprisingly cheap. I got probably 4 of these for the price of the one game the guy just didn't send it on. I did forget one, but I'll bring up that later. The first is called Escape from Monster Manor, and this is sealed, by the way. These are new. A Terrifying Hunt for the Undead, which is Killing Time. There's ads on the back for Wing Commander, NFL. It just says NFL 3DO, and it looks like a puzzle game. If you've never seen I had never seen the spine cards for 3DO games. So there's also Starblade, which I have played on the PlayStation 1. It's kind of it's a rail shooter, but very over the top. Kind of reminds me of the stuff I used to see when I'd go to Astroworld as a kid, where you'd sit in the booth and it would shake, and you'd see, you going in between spaceships and there's explosions. And this McFly did bring up that this was released in the U.S. for the 3DO, which I never realized. But it's the same all around. Now I kind of like. I looked it up. I like the long box version of it, but of course it's like $50, and this was $5. So this is called Virtual Quest. It is. I have no idea. I would say a role-playing game or an adventure game, but it looks like about a combination of the two. There's a robot and a tablet with Egyptian writing. All of these were $5 to $6. Belzerion. This is a first-person game. You see there's some combat going on right there. It's punching a robot. And the 3DO is region-free, so playing these shouldn't be a problem. And a sealed copy of D. Now, I did get a game that was a little more expensive. I did not know that there was a director's cut of D in Japan for the 3DO. I picked that up. I don't have it with me. I forgot to get it. I'll show it next pickup video. It's really neat. It comes with like a little sound disc and some other stuff in a nice slipcase. And so while I was buying from the seller, I picked up 2 other things. This is Dragon Saber. This is the sequel to Dragon Spirit for the TurboGrafx 16 dash. Well, it's not region free, the card, so I'll say PC Engine. and this is called Captain Rainbow for the Wii. I watched video of this and it looked like a bunch of goofy fun. I put it in and there's a lot of dialogue, way more than I had anticipated. I had no idea what to do. It was I was wondering why this was like $5, and I guess everyone else was kind of hip to that but me. But I looked online, and it turns out that someone is already working on a fan translation of this, and a lot of it's already done. And because my Wii is soft modded, I believe I should be able to play it no problem. And if I through maybe USB, but if I can't, I'll just play the game and look up the screens as I go because they've been doing that as well to track your progress. So I thought that was really cool. And once you get past the starting area with a bunch of instructions, or once you find the instruction givers in town, it shouldn't be a problem. And they're working hard on that. So that it does look like a lot of fun. It's stylized after like the 70s Japanese action hero shows. So you build up a meter and you turn into Captain Rainbow. There's the developer behind this. I can't find the name, but it's actually a well-known one. They worked on some other stuff I enjoyed. I believe that's also why I picked it up. But that's all. I did beat Dead Rising 4. I got a code for that in. And I did not enjoy it as much as Dead Rising 3. It's got a bigger world, which I like, but it's got easier weapon combinations. But I did not like the story at all. There's a new character named Vic that is introduced. She's a student. Frank's now a professor. She is obnoxious. There's a disagreement at the beginning of the game that I didn't see the disagreement. I have no idea why the developers thought that was a starting point for why he would go do all this stuff, because I was 100% behind him. It didn't make any sense. And somehow that's the impetus for him to go and investigate zombies. And one of the biggest reasons, I should say, not the sole one. Throughout the game, you have to hear her making sarcastic remarks about him. And they keep saying Frank's an asshole. He doesn't really come across as one. They made him more grizzled this time, which was kind of, okay, it's years later. And he'll still have some funny one-liners, but it's a weird tone. It's not very good. And what gets me is there's an interview at Game Industry Biz where the writers are going on about how there's so much depth to the story, how the maniacs, which are the psychos now, have all this rich backstory to give them context, which they don't. You'll find a cell phone and it'll be like a 5-second like voice recording, and how the stories about consumerism and Black Friday and who's the real monster, all of that is shit. It's not in there. The game begins on Black Friday. That's the extent of it. All the newspaper clippings you find, the cell phone messages, they add context and backstory, but it's very, very minor. I mean, Fallout 3 does so much more with just a few visual cues, where you'll see like a list of what a family should pack, and then down the street you'll see like something from that list in the road. And if you had paid attention, you realize you'll see like a skeleton. You know exactly the whole backstory to that. Dead Rising 4, it tries to be that clever, and it doesn't work at all narratively. But mechanic-wise, I still love getting in a steamroller and just going over. My max was I was able to run over like 800 zombies in a row. I'll use a flamethrower and killed 400 in a row. I love that. I can't get enough of that. So it's already dropped in price. So recommended on that front. But the story sucks. And the last case, there's 6 cases. The last one's a waste. There's no time element, which is kind of nice. But the checkpoint system, which has replaced the bathroom save point from 3, it's very uneven, and you'll have to repeat some bits if you die. I only died twice, and it was from just getting stuck in stuff. It is a really easy game. I beat it in 19 hours and like 40 minutes, and I felt like I was overpowered. But yeah, it's already cheap, so it's fun just to mess around. There's co-op missions now instead of jump in, jump out multiplayer, which is a little unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, I can give it like a 7. I mean, it's fun, but it's not as I didn't like the overall package as much as 3, and it's not as cohesive as the first 2. But it's where else are you going to kill thousands of zombies in one go? But that'll be it for now. I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I'll try to make some VR videos, hopefully with gameplay. If not, it'll just be my hands. Talk to everyone later.